It's that time of the year again when we look at one of the most perplexing but interesting phones on the market. Okay, this is the Sony, let me get this right, it's the Sony Xperia VII Mark VII. Classic Sony naming convention. I love Sony. I'm a massive fanboy, just to pre-warn you. So it comes from a place of love. You know, the Sony WH-1000XM6, the Xperia VII Mark VII, way too many numbers in all of their product names, but who cares? It's very endearing and it is Sony, and they normally back this up with a very good product. So we can't really complain about the name. First off the bat, it's a fantastic, this is a brilliant phone. If you want to go and buy one, if you've been thinking about buying it, watch the rest of this video, please. But it is a really good phone. You will not be wasting money because you've probably got to the point where you've done enough research, you're a bit of a Sony fan person yourself, and you're just about ready to go. Just go and do it, but watch the rest of this video anyway. This costs £1,399 in the UK, which means it's definitely a flagship. And I've got one question for you straight away. Do you know anyone with a Sony Xperia phone? The only people that I know with a Sony Xperia phone are the people who are reviewing them, like me. That doesn't mean they're bad phones. It doesn't mean they're as rare as you know what. It doesn't even mean that there's no market for them. It just means that they are incredibly niche. And for me, as a tech reviewer, that's immediately interesting. It's why I review this phone every year, because I'm always trying to get my head around who it's for and what Sony wants it to be used for and all that kind of thing. It's absolutely fascinating. And among a sea of relatively bland phones, let's not name any names, but there are some very capable but relatively boring phones out there. The Xperia line keeps popping up every year and saying, hey, I'm back. So what I thought I'd do in this video is just go through the main things that have or haven't changed from the 6 to the 7, and also reveal what I'm going to do with it this weekend, which I think will be the biggest test for it really in terms of what this phone I think is kind of geared towards doing. So let's get straight into it. Now, I am reading from notes on my iPad mini because there are so many numbers involved here, so bear with me. Let's start with the display. So this has a 6.5-inch FHD Plus LTPO OLED panel, which has a really interesting aspect ratio actually. It's a 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio, which you can see here, which it's fairly long and narrow. Not too narrow, actually. It's not as narrow as, you know, certain foldable phones from the past, which are very hard to type on and that sort of thing. It's one-handed. I can get my thumb across the entire screen with no problem at all. The refresh rate is 120 Hz, obviously, as it should be. But basically, it's pretty much the same display as the Mark VI. Now, the Mark VI was different to the Mark V. I can't remember why. What was it? I need to do a very quick bit of Googling here. Yeah, that was it. So the Xperia 5 had a 4K display, whereas the Xperia the Xperia 1 Mark V, and the last one and this one doesn't have basically they got rid of the 4K display, which doesn't matter. I know people are going to flood the comments now, but the fact I had to Google that because I'd forgotten about it kind of illustrates what I mean, really. I guess if you're watching certain content, then maybe you might miss that if you had the Mark V that had the 4K display. It doesn't matter. You could feel like you're getting less for your money and that kind of thing, but I did compare the Mark V against the Mark VI, and it looked pretty much the same. So the display, as far as I'm concerned, is still top-notch, and I do really like that aspect ratio. In terms of the design overall, it does feel very, very similar to the Mark VI. I don't have the Mark VI anymore. I did have to send that back to Sony, so I can't compare it with this one, but it's got the same very satisfying and very premium feeling rear casing, which is kind of textured. Don't know if you can hear that. And because of that, it has one of the least slippy rear surfaces of any phone that I've used over the last couple of years, which means you can kind of do that and it doesn't immediately fall out of your hands, which is good news. On to performance, which I never look forward to in these reviews because I just don't know what to say. I don't do benchmarks. So if you've come here for a benchmark, you've come to the wrong video. There'll be loads of those out there, but you don't need to check a benchmark, basically. It runs the Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, which is the latest flagship smartphone chip from Qualcomm. That's pretty much all you need to know. The previous Mark VI had the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3, which back then was the flagship. Basically, it's got a really fast chip. There will be some performance gains over the previous generation, obviously, they're fairly significant. I don't know why you would, but if you're going from the Mark 6 to the Mark 7, there's better AI performance, there's better GPU and CPU performance, and those percentages are quite high between the 8 Gen 3 and the 8 Elite. Snapdragon are doing incredible things with their chips. If you're looking for a flagship phone that's called the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 7 and you want to make sure it's very fast, this is going to be very fast. I don't know what more to say about smartphone performance. What was that? I don't know what more to say about smartphone performance. Something that is far more exciting is the camera performance, and this brings me on to what I'm doing with it this weekend. Now, this weekend will have happened by the time that you watch this video, so we will start showing you right now the footage and the photos I've been taking with this phone. While I'm doing that, just very quickly, it has a 48 megapixel main sensor, which is, I think, very similar to the previous generation, but it does have a significantly improved ultra wide. It's 48 megapixels now versus the 12 megapixel from the previous generation. The telephoto is the same, so it has that same 85 to 170mm continuous optical focal length. This new 1 Mark 7 introduces AI auto framing for video, which is a new feature. I'm not quite as interested in that, I'm afraid, but I am interested in the optical quality of those photos and, more importantly for me, the video. Now, I don't do a huge amount of video work with my smartphones, but occasionally instances crop up where I have to use them for production purposes. And at the moment, I've got a brilliant example of that, which is the fact that we have a brand new channel called The Next Drive, which is all about cars, as you would guess, and we've got lots of cars to review at the moment, which is a lovely problem to have. But if you add that to all of the stuff we're doing here with tech, there's just so much content to film. So I needed a camera this weekend that would just work when you press a button, as simple as that, and also look very good. So I thought, to get the footage of this Macan Turbo and also this Audi Q6 e-tron, let's put the Sony Xperia 1 Mark 7 to the test. So all of this footage that you've been seeing will be used in the final videos for these two cars. The images that I've shot with it, we probably won't use these much, but I'm doing that just so you can see the photo quality. But what I'm really interested in, like I say, is the video. Now, you're watching this from the future, so I've not seen the footage yet that we're showing you, and I'm just hoping it's okay. I know it's going to be okay, don't be silly. This is Sony, so I'm filming this on two Sony cameras. Massive Sony fanboy, huge fan of what they do with their optics when it comes to imaging and capturing video. Do let me know in the comments what you think about these images and this footage. One thing I love about Sony when it comes to the Xperia is that they give you these pro photo and pro video apps, so you can basically get really granular with your shooting if you want to. You can almost turn it into a Venice cinema camera, which is just hilariously bonkers. But this is the thing with the Xperia. Sony must make these features available because people must use them. Again, get involved in the comments if that's you. Most of the stuff that I've shot, you're seeing now, was shot just in the regular camera app. I've not done anything really apart from just set it to 4K and away we go. The one thing that I will say critically about Sony when it comes to their smartphones and the camera is the fact that the interface doesn't always match the Sony camera that I'm using. For instance, this Sony FX3 in front of me now has a completely different menu system compared to the Xperia 1 Mark 7. I wish they just had one uniform camera UI across everything. That would be fantastic, but that's a bit of a nitpick, really. Hopefully these photos and this footage of these two very nice cars is to your liking, but let me know what you think in the comments. The battery, I think, is the same 5,000 milliamp hour battery from the previous generation, which means it's not silicon carbon either, which there'll be 8 million Reddit threads out there already with people throwing their trousers off and, I need to get that right, setting fire to their trousers because it doesn't have the latest battery silicon carbonite, whatever it's called, thing. Doesn't matter. Yes, silicon carbon is important and it's a very exciting and new emerging battery tech for smartphones, but just because a phone doesn't have it doesn't mean it's a failure immediately. The reason for that is because this is a fantastic battery. It will get you through 2 days, no problem whatsoever, and just like every Android phone on the market at the moment, the standby time is hilariously good. A very quick note on the audio side of this phone. Firstly, we have a headphone jack. Still, Sony, thank you. Oh, wonderful. All the things that, the fact we've got the headphone jack, there's also, I forgot to mention this, there's a proper shutter button for the phone, not a camera control. It's a proper half-press shutter thing. The fact they do that and they have a proper headphone jack and they've implemented lots of audio stuff, including gold solder, I guess, inside that headphone jack, enhanced DSEE ultimate support, LDAC, and also Dolby Atmos support. They've put all this kind of fancy stuff into this phone, which such a small percentage of people will benefit from, because people will still use their Bluetooth headphones, I would guess, with this phone. If you decide to plug a pair of headphones into that, for instance, if you plug your Sony XM6 into there, which are wonderful, by the way. I'm such a Sony fanboy, aren't I? It's going to sound great. I love the fact they do this stuff. Time for a very quick conclusion, because I feel like I'm getting a bit too fanboyish about this and it's probably really irritating. Should you upgrade from the 6 to the 7? No, completely pointless. Should you upgrade from the 5 to the 7? If you think you're going to miss that 4K display, and if you use that 4K display for something specific, it's very difficult for me to say yes, go for the 7, because you do lose that display. However, what I would say against that is the fact that I don't think you'll notice it. I've seen them side by side and the differences are virtually imperceptible. I wouldn't let that hold you back, but I do understand if that's the case. Should this be your first ever Xperia phone? Yes. If you've got this far in your research, you've probably watched all of the other reviews, because this one is a little bit late, let's be honest. You've probably watched all the other reviews, and if you've put this much effort into potentially buying this phone, I think you want it. And the good news is, if you buy it, you will not be disappointed. Sony has done it again. I hope they keep making the Xperia 1, because it's such a fantastically, brilliantly bonkers, niche product which clearly has a fan base, and that is what I love about it. Before you go, we're running a massive back to school giveaway at the moment with Back Market. Back Market is the place to go for refurbished Apple gear, and we're going to pick 8 winners in total. The prizes include a 15-inch M2 MacBook Air, an M2 iPad Air, AirPods Max, and some Back Market vouchers. It's a huge giveaway and it ends relatively soon. We'll put all the details down in the description. Click the link to get involved, and remember, let me know what you think about the Xperia 1 Mark 7.